I think it's increasingly challenging, when we talk about space for play. Society at large, everyone wants to have that space to go out, to enjoy yourselves, to have friends that you can hang out with. So I guess for the coach is really about creating the environment. You look at a gardener, there's a lot of similarity in terms of the process. It's not something that you can just do one time and then it's all sorted for the rest of it. It's almost like a daily connection that you have to be engaged in, you see. You nurture it, watering, you fertilize it. You also need to do the occasional trimming, yeah. So it's not also nice and easy. Hopefully with the coach being able to facilitate it well, then it's a place of learning and growth. When I look at this, I think about the potential, what will they become? There's a lot of beauty in that process. Children, young people cannot do without play. There's always that sense of discovery, right? Where you sort of go to new grounds, where you have to make decisions, and that sense of discovery always produces joy and wonder. For me, it was friends. That was one, because there were a group of us. The activity itself sort of connected us. My experiences in childhood, obviously, I guess I'm made as a very outdoor kind of person, and it became a very natural platform for me to just connect with young people. I realized that it's actually a very good platform to teach and influence lives in that way. My why in coaching, one is a sense of excellence in what I do and creating the sense of excellence in that player. I think the other aspect is really the aspect of love. So love for people, no matter how strong you are, how intelligent, level of experience that you have. I think that's a basic need for every one of us. The reason why I got involved is this in training and coaching is because sports gives us a wonderful platform to connect. We teach young people the aspect of a community by helping them to learn to respect one another. Yeah, so even in the way you talk, the way you treat each other. I like you in your group, okay? Can you think about a couple of things that help us positively in terms of our mental health? Building bonds within the team right at training and helping them to see the value of each other, helping them to support the growth of one another. Coaching is not just coaching technical skills. A lot of these coaches, when they work with kids, they take the extra step, the extra measure, they spend extra time with it. And why would you do something like that if you don't love the child? It's relevant to us as coaches, or to me in particular, because there's something that I've realized that with a lot of these kids that we work with over the years, that a lot of them actually come from very, very challenging background. And yes, gratitude is important in the process. So despite the challenges, despite sometimes the outcome, right, then we ask, hey, what can I be thankful for? When you are thankful, right, it changes your attitude towards circumstances. So one of the things that we do at Football Plus is starting the training, asking the players what is one thing they can be thankful for. To certain players, it is difficult to answer. I think even with adults, Sometimes when you ask, "Oh, what are you thankful for?" Oh, actually, I've never thought about that question, at all. What is one thing you're thankful for, right? Okay. So as we go into the next 1 week, right, what is one thing, right, that you can keep in mind that you're thankful for? Okay. And when you sometimes pause and ask that question, right, you realize that, wow, there are actually a lot more things that you can be thankful for, lah. And if you have that approach and you have that thinking, then you treat people a lot differently. I can think of one example years back, when I was driving and sending players back. I remember it was a Saturday. We had training, and then I was dropping off a group of kids. So the privileged one, the one who got to sit in front, I think he was like probably about 10, 11 years old. We were driving Saturday evening on the way back, and I asked him about, the usual stuff, like, family, what he likes to do. And I sort of probed him a little bit, and asking him, you're going to have dinner? And he said no. So I asked, if he's going to buy back. And then he said no. And in the end, I found that basically there may not be any food at home for dinner, that day. And I asked him what is he going to do if there isn't any food. And he shared that he will just go to bed early at 8 o'clock, and that's his way of dealing with hunger. A lot of times when when we're kids and we players, we look at people from their playing ability. That experience, right, taught me that that there are actually a lot more behind a person. And for us, sports give us an opportunity, right, to impact their lives. One is involving them in the community, giving practical help, and really encouraging and strengthening them in terms of the context that they are in. One of the key things that we try and teach, and in all the training sessions, is really asking them, like, what is one thing that you're thankful for? It is important because of the fact that we all have something that we can be grateful for, even in the situation of this boy who are in a very difficult situation, right? Instead of focusing on the problem, right, it is really refocusing on what are some things that he can continue to be grateful for. This is not to say that we don't deal with the challenges, but if we keep our focus on the difficult part, right, the challenges, right, sometimes we may end up not moving forward at all. But what else must we do so that this inverted comma, this vicious cycle does not repeat itself? And I think that was why I always remember this story. And when we talk about the work that we do with these kids, right, this is one of the reasons why we do what we do. It's always not easy to take the extra step, right? Because it means that more time, more effort. So it's not an easy process. But I think when you think about the impact that it can bring, right, is really, really powerful. The level of trust with the player, with the player's family, and also the impact on the coaches is really powerful, because it helps give meaning to what they do. What they do is not just on the field, it's a lot more than that. And a lot of time, coaching can sometimes be a very lonely journey, because you're often out there trying to deal with all these challenges yourself. And it's important to have a community, right, that understand those challenges. As we journey, right, like coaches to coaches, you sort of can understand, the process, the experience. So having a community of people around you gives you support, and you're also constantly learning from one another. You're learning good practices. It challenges you also. So having a community is important.
If you have a glance across the room, you will find that we are all of different ages, different sport, and different levels of experience in this room here. So one of the things I really want to encourage is for us to sort of learn from one another, and you have plenty of opportunities to do that later. So a couple of things that we'll be going through today, is really to recognize the role, the importance of coaches in sport. Not just do coaches teach about the skills of the sport, they can also teach about values and principles in life. And it is important for us to understand that coaching is really not just about technical skills.
Coaches are basically people who manage other people, right? And you manage a team of players. You are building relationship with them. You are also helping them to build relationship with one another. If I were to look at it from a coach's perspective, right, that the coach actually holds the key. You're the one in charge, and the players under you can go either way based on your leadership. Now, that's something that is very relevant for us as coaches.
As we upgrade our skills, we often focus on the how. Okay, how can we coach better? How can we do it better? But a lot of times, people forget about why, or they don't even ask why they coach in the first place. And so we really want to encourage us to start thinking in terms of coaching, and you as a leader, you as someone who can either positively or negatively influence the athletes, the players that come under you. And in order to do that, right, it is important for us to have the right coaching philosophy. So if we have a philosophy of winning at all costs, what are the chances of us positively impacting the athletes around us?
I think in the society we live in, right, we are always looking at the results, and you often get asked, oh, you coach this sport, what team you coach? How did they do last year? And a lot of time people are graded, right, based on that. Your value don't change according to the color of the medal you achieve that year. In all competition, there's only one winner, and I don't think successful coaches win all the time. So putting yourself in positions like this, right, is not easy, because you have to deal with the emotions that come after that. And some of this thinking that you start to question yourself, oh, am I wasting time here? Am I doing something wrong? And so on and so forth. But let's not lose sight of the big picture. So these are the things that have been achieved. You've seen growth, you've seen development, you've seen a team that is being developed, you've seen a culture that is being developed there. At the end of the day, it really is decided by what you think is important. In VPS, right, we spend a little bit of time talking about coaching philosophy. And coaching philosophy is really about beliefs and values and principles that the coach have, and that they will determine his actions. So if you ask in a coaching context, right, winning is not the only outcome that we are aiming for. What are the core values that are important to you as a coach? And when you're able to write that out and express that clearly, that guides you as you coach. But the point is, we do have to sit down and take some time to reflect. And for me, it's very encouraging to see in the eyes of some of the participants, when they open up, like the eyes light up and they learn new perspective. They enjoy the training. So I'm thankful for moments like this, that if that's part of the process of really sort of encouraging, inspiring them to continue, right, then I'm happy to be part of that. We therefore need a community around us. We need to continue to learn and grow in the process of doing the things that we are called to do.
Okay, ready? Keeper ready? Okay.
I find that coaching is so intricate, right? You do need a lot of knowledge. You need to learn, you grow, and in competition is, you deal with pressure, and in a sense, it's very much in real life. And so, by putting yourself in those positions, those growth process is really a blessing. So I benefited a lot, and I wouldn't have gained those if I didn't go out there and coach. And I think in some sense is being thankful of the investment that other people have put in my life, and then say, hey, I want to do the same in my sphere of influence, whatever I can. I definitely cannot change the whole world, but I think in the sphere of influence, I can do a little bit, whether it's coaches, with players, and so on. Then if there's opportunity to arise, then I will continue to do that. For me, the priority is not the sport. The sport is the platform, to engage the kids. And of course, when we can go out and do it, we definitely will go out and do it. At this point of time, it is not possible. So what can we keep? I think the underlying thing is still play, right? And if you can't go outdoors, you're restricted in a sense in terms of access to facilities and things like this because of restrictions, right? Can we still keep the element of play? Yeah. So among the coaches, we are thinking even if there's no way to do football, can we bring some games? So the last we talked is getting some board games where they can play with their siblings. No electronic, no laptop, nothing that requires that. But just if they can play among the siblings and the family, and then every week a different game, that will keep them engaged and then get conversations going. So even phone calls and so on. So those are the things that we are looking at adapting and changing at this point of time. A couple of things. I think the will is very important. So don't run away from the problem. So that will, right, that determination to hold on to that and deal with the challenges is really important. Don't give up and don't run away from that. Then that is, for me, I think, balance with having wisdom. So it's not just charging into a problem, but really having wisdom about the situation. And you get wisdom through learning new knowledge, experiences. You learn from people. You also learn from crises, by making mistakes in the past. Your reality is challenged. Your assumption is challenged, and so on. But there's actually sometimes and often very painful to go through. The other way, I think in when you attend courses and so on, those are actually one way, that you gain knowledge, learn from people and so on. When you have a mentor that works with you, you also gain wisdom, because the mentor is able to see things from another perspective that often could be your blind spots. And that's why there's a need to be engaged in the community to open yourself up, to be willing to receive feedback. We talk about vulnerabilities, to be open to those kind of feedback that will help you grow. So various ways to gain wisdom that will help us in our coaching journey. Yeah, definitely coaches should embrace their vulnerability in terms of accepting themselves. That's first, you're not perfect. There are areas of weakness. Acknowledge that, and it's okay. I could think of an early experience that I had when I put a mic under my shirt in one of the training session. I just thought that if I hear myself, I can improve myself, you know. And to my horror, right, when I went back to listen to how I spoke at training, right, you know, I cringed and it was very, very uncomfortable. And I think at that point, I thought that I was okay, lah, you know, as a coach, you know. Team results were okay, you know, decent team, decent player. You know, I was not too bad, lah. Then when I hear myself, right, I was like, wow, you know, because when you put the mic under, you could catch all the little comments that, even those comments that you don't say to the players, it was all caught. Then I realized that, wow, there is really a big gap between what I thought of myself and reality. I'm not saying I'm very good now, but that was one of my early experience that I said, wow, I still have a lot of areas to work on, to grow in, a lot of areas that you know, I'm also ashamed to let people know, you know, but you know, it is something that they have to be dealt with. You know, coaching is really a lifelong learning journey. It doesn't end when you finish that certificate, that course, you know. It doesn't even finish when you won that trophy and so on. And if you don't continue to grow, you have bigger challenges ahead. I think a coach that embraces the fact that he's vulnerable, he has areas of weaknesses, definitely has potential to be a better coach. And in a sense, he will also be able to empathize with other people.